Hi, and welcome to Parenting ToolBox TV. And we're delighted to have Eilir here today. Eilir, we've been trying to pronounce your name, so we're hoping we've done it perfectly. Eilir Jones, who is an eclectic counsellor, which I find fascinating, and I want to learn more about that. But you just want to really demystify, don't you, stress and mental health. And making mental health easier to understand, and I know you're brilliant at giving tools to people to help them deal with stress. So over to you. Tell us a little bit about yourself, Eilir.
Hi,
yes.
Lovely to see you.
I'm on an exercise ball, in case you're wondering why I'm bouncing around.
Oh, I was beginning to think.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah, an eclectic counsellor then is a counsellor who has lots of different tools from lots of different theories and techniques, because I believe that one size just doesn't fit all.
No.
And I'm a testament to that. You know, I've had post-traumatic stress and stuff, and CBT took me some of the way, but picture reframing and NLP took me the rest of the way. So that's when I learned the importance of having more than one tool in your bag, basically.
Brilliant.
So that's why I'm into.
Eilir, can I just say, so you said CBT took you some of the way. What I got NLP. What was the other modality you mentioned there?
Oh, and a part of NLP, which is picture reframing. So
reframing. Okay.
Picture reframing, yeah. So if you have a traumatic experience and it keeps coming back as flashbacks, then there's a lovely, really simple, quick technique that can help you get your power back over that traumatic event that keeps pestering you, that keeps coming in. There's lovely little things that you can do to adapt that, to help change the feeling behind it, to help you manage it differently and get on with your day.
And is that a type of tool that parents could use with their children, so to speak?
If they've had a traumatic event with their child, yeah, definitely. If they've seen their child being involved in an accident, or their kids have fallen down the stairs at home or whatever it is, and they keep replaying them and they keep feeling guilty about it, then yeah, this is certainly something that can help them with the flashbacks of things.
Can in a minute we can come back and revisit it and kind of drill down in a more granular way, but just to kind of give us a context, what was it that, if you don't mind sharing, if you want, just share as much as you want to, but just to contextualize your history and your narrative, what brought you to the where you are now as a Better Way counselling service provider? What was it that actually that gave you your story?
I've always been a relatively compassionate person, relatively empathic person. I've always wanted to help people, but the thing that kicked me into counselling was getting mugged in my early 20s. And I had post-traumatic stress after that, and my personality started changing into somebody pretty angry. That just wasn't me. It was somebody else who was always defensive, and anger was the best form of defense at that time to help keep me safe, because the world wasn't a safe place. So,
did you know this was trauma at the time, or did you obviously notice that your personality had changed, or did you just think you had evolved into this state?
No, a very important person told me that my personality was changing, i.e. my mum. She gave me a quick told me, Eilir,
quick rant,
that helped me realize.
Well, I think when we, as parents, isn't this such a significant detail in that story? Because we know our children, don't we, better than anybody. And so when you see any shift in their mood or their behavior, and this is not small children. I mean, you were in your 20s then, but fair play to her for actually, because sometimes it's hard to challenge that, and sometimes it's difficult to actually have that conversation. It's uncomfortable, it's confronting. So if she hadn't said that to you, where would you be now? I mean, it's a question. You could be in a completely different.
And also, I think that's quite key, isn't it? It's that communicating, because for you, Eilir, to actually have opened up about it, because I mean, not generalizing, but quite often men find it more difficult to talk about their emotions and how they're feeling. And so, especially I think with mums that have boys as well, you know, keeping that communication going and actually getting them to open up is really key. Because did you actually see it in yourself, or was it a bit of a wake-up call?
I knew I wasn't happy. I knew I was boxing, you know, with myself, reliving things. I knew this was happening, but I didn't realize the effect it was having on other people and the effect it was having on my relationships with other people. Couldn't see that. I was so wrapped up in it that so many other aspects of my life started slipping, and so did my personality.
Wow. And so did you, how did you end up going down the counselling route, not as a counsellor, but as somebody seeking support? How did you get signposted in that direction?
My GP, I went to my GP. Naturally, they offered medication to begin with. And then I politely declined and asked for counselling instead, because I knew this was something that had happened to me rather than a chemical imbalance in my head. And so I knew I needed to tackle this issue. And so I to be fair, I was 3 months premature being born. And so I've been fighting right since then. And I'm only 5'6". I'm a little fighter, and I've fought all the way. It feels like throughout my life, and I certainly wasn't going to stop then. So I decided to face it and fight it and deal with it.
A lot of strength there.
So it almost came to a crescendo, didn't it? And then you were like, right, got to deal with this head on.
Come on, do your worst.
Yeah. Not taking that anymore.
Jog on.
I can face it. And the thing was, and you're talking about men who don't talk, and you know, kids are being told, you know, come on, you're a lad, go on, you got to be strong, you don't cry. And so what that fosters in you then is that thing of, okay, stuff's happened to me, so I've got to push it down, shove it down, be strong, carry on. And that leads to a lot of isolation ultimately, because you don't want to be sharing your feelings, because it's not worth it anyway, because you're just told to be strong and carry on. So I may as well just carry on. And that comes isolating. And ultimately you start becoming overwhelmed by things, because you keep being strong, something else happened, keep being strong, something else, keep being strong. And it becomes overwhelming, and anxiety and depression and things creep in. So we need to talk, men. Come on.
You do, more so.
And that's why I think doing things like this broadcast, I'll always share anything that you're doing, Eilir. I'll always try and share it on my Facebook groups or my Instagram groups, or any of my male colleagues. Any of our coaches, really, our heart-led coaches. Isn't it right, Jane? But when it comes to the male perspective, I think it's, you know, we've all got dads and husbands and boys. I'm raising a boy, you know, he's nearly 18, and he's pretty emotionally literate, but sometimes he thinks he knows more than he does. And I do see, even in this generation, I do see shades of toxic masculinity sinking in there. I think it's 1 in 5 or 1 in 4 males, young males, see they view Andrew Tate as credible. I read that stat the other day. This is a shocking stat, like.
Yeah, you know? That is shocking.
And I think when you look at it from the perspective of some of the stuff he talks about, this is how my son might argue it, is actually intelligent and reasonable. And it might be something to do with habits, or, you know, it could be stuff with, you know, living your best life. But then you've got the extreme misogyny and the toxic, disgusting stuff that goes on as well. And it's trying to separate that, because he does have credibility there, but here it's a joke, and it blurs. It can blur the lines, and there's that backlash, that almost like an anti-feminist backlash at the moment I see, and it does concern me. And I don't think they have that. When I go into schools, I see people, we encourage it, and Instagram and social media and TikTok encourage talking. But sometimes students will say things like, yeah, but it's all about be your best self, and it's a little bit boring and cliched and toxic positivity-ish and so on and so forth. So I think encouraging these open conversations and hearing it from men for males, I think can
absolutely having that positive role model, isn't it? Or
the role modeling,
absolutely. But the right kind of role modeling, not what some of the social media shows out there.
And
it's a hard one.
Being a person who isn't afraid to say, do you know what, I messed up there. I do apologize. And not being afraid to admit you're wrong. So people just can't do it. They just can't. They see it as a weakness and that they failed, and the shame and the guilt that comes along with that, so they don't do it and they avoid it. But they store it, and it carries on into other relationships, instead of actually just being honest and open and going, do you know what, I don't know the answer to that, or I'm really sorry for behaving that way. And that way you can actually drop the stone that people carry.
And that word vulnerability is coming up in my head, thinking, the more vulnerable we are in life, the more real we are, and actually real to other people, but real to ourselves. And it is about being authentic, isn't it, and real, so that we can live that life without, the backpack of boulders and things that we carry around with us that people don't see. It's so important just to be you and to be real. And it's great that you took that fork in the road, because it could have been a very different fork, couldn't it?
Absolutely. I've got no doubt it could have been very, very different. Sorry,
Eilir, I'm just wondering, when you went down this road, what was it that took you to where you are now then? So to get from where you were then to where you are now, what was that journey?
The journey was actually quite tough at times. It was when I did my counselling, I really enjoyed that process. I could see what she was trying to do. I felt like I was, so if I do that, you're thinking I'm going to do that, I'm going to do, and I was quite consequential about it all and methodical about it all, and it all really made sense. And so that really fired me up and really made me enjoy the process of counselling and change. So I did it, I faced it, and it was tough. Going back to where it happened, that was
the actual spot.
Place. Wow.
Yeah. And going back to the pub before it happened and having a pint there with a mate. I asked a mate to come along with me, and he was, massive help. And but that facing of it allowed me to overlay that horrible experience with a new, more positive one. And so the more we face these difficulties we've got, the more we overlay them with positive ones. And then in little we start getting over. So a few years after that, just to complete the story, I was plumbing, and I got a call from the community mental health team after a while of being to the GP, and they offered me some more sessions. So that was great. And then I saw an article in the local paper in Coleg Menai in Bangor, and it said basic counselling skills. So, that sounds interesting. And that was the end of that. So they went to the basic, went for the intermediate, went for the transactional analysis, went for the diploma and the continuing professional development, and blew me neck until I know a bit about stuff. It's lovely. And now I've got more control now that I understand it all. Well, a lot.
That's great. So you really went full hog into doing it all and changing your life completely, because you've obviously changed careers and you're out there helping others, which is amazing. Absolutely amazing.
And do you know what the funny thing is as well? The time that I knew that I'd accepted what had happened was when I actually saw the guy who did it a few years after. And I got up, I got out of my car And I was genuinely going to go over to him and to shake his hand and to say, you know, no hard feelings. Hope you're okay. Take care, and go, because ultimately from that difficult experience came a really new and different, more positive me. And so it was only from that really tough thing that this grew. So I wanted to go over there and actually shake his hand for that, but he saw me and went, oh.
Did he actually recognise you? Did he?
Yeah.
He ran away.
Yeah.
Cowards, you see, cowards.
Yeah, but you got the power there.
Yeah.
But I'd still, you know, still shake his hand today. I don't mind, whatever.
I love that. I mean, that epitomizes so much. If we're talking about, say, positive psychology and character strengths, I mean, that just embodies forgiveness as a character strength, kindness, bravery, perseverance, persistence, perspective in spades.
In so many ways, it's just,
you know, and even creativity in accessing and love of learning. You know, just the interest in the process to empower you, to give you those tools, but also to have that passion, that social intelligence, and the character strength and love to share it. And I think that we've all had similar kind of experiences, haven't we, Jane? All three of us, where you learn something, it works, and I say it's almost like you're beholden to share it, because if it works and there's people living lives of quiet desperation, don't sit on it. Do you know, I'm evangelical.
Spread the word, absolutely.
And like, Eilir, when you did your talk, when we all did our talk a few months ago, I think what you underestimated was your own flavor and the spin that you put on all of this information that you repackage for other people. And one of the things you said at the beginning that struck me was, you probably know this already. And I thought, no. And all of us were specialists in very similar areas, weren't we, Jane? You know,
absolutely.
As heart-led coaches and psychologists, positive psychologists, parenting coaches, mindset coaches, but still you had gold, you know, to share, and you've adapted these skills. And that's why it's integrative and I think very exciting. And a couple of the things, can I ask you to circle back? Because at the beginning you mentioned that one of those techniques. Would you be able to talk us through, was it the NLP, was it called picture reframing? Picture reframing. Yeah. Okay. So what would we do? Can I give you an example and you can talk me through it? I'm just doing this completely off the hoof.
If I rather than go into a traumatic one, can we go? I was going to say. Go on.
I was going to say I had a car crash this week. I had a bump.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, this might.
Yeah. And I'm just thinking, you might help me.
Yeah.
Okay.
I always ask our guests to help me, don't I, Jane? By the end of all of these sessions, I'm telling you, it's so good. I'm right at the top of Maslow's hierarchy.
She's perfect. She's there. She's up there.
If I tell you, so basically I pulled out and there was a kind of hidden kind of junction here. I had yield, I stopped, there was another road, car came down, and then we both pulled out together in the rain, in the dark.
Yeah.
And it was a considerable whack. Children. My response, it wasn't like a real impact because there was no airbags, but my response was complete shutdown, fight or flight. So I was shaking, crying. I wanted to get away as quickly as possible. So the flight was there. There was no fight. It was more fawn. It was freeze and fawn. Oh, I'm so sorry. That was my, and then it just became, we sorted it out subsequently and all the rest. But that one thing, and then the subsequent feelings were the loss of power in front of the children, the loss of control, despite the self-loathing that comes with the negative voice of, you're supposed to be a positive psychologist working with people on resilience. Where was your resilience? And I did a lot of work subsequent to that on self-compassion and my inner voice. So I was, so thankfully I was, because I had those skills and I knew I wasn't able to access them instantly. Come on. I mean, we're human. So I was able to forgive myself. But if I didn't know the science behind it, if I didn't know what had happened at the time, I know I would be probably a lot worse now, but I've not driven down there since, I'll tell you that. So what would you, it's a big one. So
no stress there, no stress.
Yeah. But just if we were to put it in that context of the picture reframing.
So the picture reframing part then is, I'll go through the little preamble first so that are you getting flashbacks on it, about it?
No, not intrusive flashbacks. Okay. If I actively think about it when I talk to you, it comes back in slow motion.
Okay.
But it's not waking me up at night, or it's not, coming into my thoughts.
So to go a little bit about the PTSD then, post-traumatic stress. So I want to normalize that first of all. So have you ever had that experience where you're thinking of something, and for example, the name of the last Batman in the Batman film, and you're thinking, oh my gosh, what was the name of that guy? And you go, just this, just the tip of my tongue. And then you know it's not coming, and you don't have your phone, and you can't Google it. And then so you go off and do something else, and next minute, bing, Christian Bale pops into your head, and you go, Christian Bale, I knew it. So that is a normal function of the brain, isn't it? There's an unfinished business thing there.
Yeah.
It ticks along in the background, and in your filing cabinet at the back of your head, you start thinking, what was that thing? And then your unconscious mind thinks about it, gets the answer, spikes it up into your consciousness, and that's when the part when you go, it's Christian Bale. Okay, normal, natural stuff, yeah? So when you're thinking about post-traumatic stress, something has happened there, something important has happened, and your brain is mulling it over in the background. Now, consciously, we might be doing something else and keeping busy. Let's not think about it. Let's just keep busy. Then we stop.
Yes.
And then that's when your brain will go, ooh, what was that thing I was thinking about again? Oh, yeah, here it is. Smack.
Right.
And it brings it all back to you, and you relive it again. It impacts the way you feel. And then that impact, that emotional impact, reinforces that importance of that thing. So your brain then goes, ooh, that was important. Must remember that. And so next time your brain has gone quiet, you're relaxing in the bath, you're about to fall asleep, your head's gone to neutral in the queue in Tesco, bang, here it is again, look, here's that thing we were trying to remember. So that's why we keep getting these post-traumatic stress things where the flashbacks keep coming in and the intrusive thoughts.
And there's no control there, is there? It's just comes. Yeah.
So that's possibly what would have happened if I hadn't been able to, in my own way, maybe bring it to the forefront. Because I did say this yesterday. When it happened, I was very much here in the amygdala, wherever it is, you know, that. And I wasn't thinking straight, and I just went. But when I had a day space between it, I was able to say, hold on a second. That wasn't entirely and that was the thing. And I think maybe 5 years ago that could have happened. And I don't think, well, actually, I know for a fact 7 years ago, I would have medicated with wine. That's what I would have done. That's how I would have dealt with that. I know for a fact after that accident, I would have come home and found wine, and I would have had wine this weekend because I'd have been, and I suppose that would have, maybe it's my sobriety as well that helps with this kind of, conscious awareness and all the mindfulness and things like that. But that's fascinating. So if it's coming back, if it jumps back in, it's because you've kind of suppressed it, and it just...
Yeah,
the brain's doing what it does.
Yeah, it's just trying to help you remember something important that's happened to you. That's all it is.
And so your process is to repicture it, is it?
Yeah. So you're right, Jane, in what you're saying. It's really difficult to stop it from happening. because it's your unconscious head. It's your unconscious brain. So, but the second it comes into your consciousness and you go, and then you're back in it, that's the point. You can start grabbing control over it rather than it controlling you all the time. So at that point, when you realize it's happening, then you can follow this little process and then you can start getting control back over it and minimizing the impact that it has on you. When you can bring that impact down, it helps to tell the brain by proxy that it's okay. I don't need to always remember this thing. We've got this. We're okay. We're not under danger now. We can manage it. It's okay. So the exercise is this. So I'm going to ask you. I was thinking, would it be? Well, are you comfortable doing with what you've got? And if I ask you to think about a lovely day you've had, then Jane.
Yes.
Okay. Should we do a lovely day just in case there's somebody listens who? Because I'd like to be there with somebody if they're going through a traumatic thing. I don't want to.
Yeah. Let's reframe it. Yes, absolutely.
So we'll go on a lovely day. Can you think of a beautiful, lovely day that you've had where you felt warm and loved and happy and joyful and whatever? All those lovely things. You got one?
Yeah.
Okay. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to ask you to change different aspects of it one at a time, and I'm going to ask you how it feels after every change. So is the picture in black and white or color?
Color. Can we answer?
Color. Okay. Yeah.
Okay. I would like you to change it to black and white, please. Now, if it resists, this is a memory in your head, and who's in control of your head? So is it in black and white?
Yep.
Yeah? Oh, it's fighting Liz.
Yeah.
Black and white.
I like the colour.
Yeah, I know. I know. So in black and white now, how's the feeling? Is it better, worse, or the same?
Bit muted, isn't it?
Yes. Worse for me.
Yeah. Okay. Fine. Don't worry. We'll get it back to as it was. Don't worry. But it's for the purpose of this exercise. So what I want you to do now is, are you looking at the picture through your own eyes, or are you in the picture itself?
Oh, through my own eyes.
I am not looking. I'm in it. I'm in the picture.
Okay, brilliant. So what I want you to do, I want you to grab it, the whole field of view, and I want you to grab it and stick it in a frame right in front of you. Can you do that? Done?
Still in black and white.
Still in black and white. How's the feeling? Better, worse, same?
Bit worse for me.
Yep. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. The next thing I want you to do is it a film or a still?
Still.
Okay. If it was a film, I'd ask you to fast forward it times 2.
Times 2.
Middle and end. If it was a film, yeah.
Okay.
And then I'd ask you to go times 4, times 8. So there's all the people are going. And then the times 16, times 32, times 64, times 1 to 8. Bang, flash, done it. So that's what we do with a video. But it's a still, and it's a black and white still, and you've got it in your frame. Yeah. Okay. Next thing I'd like to do is, do you remember contrast buttons on old TVs? You had a little knob, it turns, and my laptop's about to run out of juice. Hang on, let's switch it on.
That's showing our age, isn't it?
Yeah. For the kids,
youngsters watching won't know what we're talking about.
They're like, what? Huh? Well, what's a TV?
Tuning button.
You mean it's fatter than that? Yes, it used to be.
Big screen. Okay.
So we've got our picture. We're in black and white. So what I want you to do now is turn it all into black or turn it all into white, whichever one feels worse for you.
Wow.
You got one?
Yeah. Black.
Okay.
Black, yeah.
Now I want you to make it small, the size of a postage stamp, or maybe less. Done? And now I'd like it to bounce you to bounce it out your nearest window.
Oh, okay.
Done?
Done.
How's the feeling?
Strange. It's like the image, the time, it's kind of gone. It's a bit lost.
Okay. What about you, Jane?
Yeah, it's my head. I'm just analysing, which I tend to do too much of, and I'm thinking I can see how that would really work with something negative. Except I was having a lovely day at the beach, and you asked me to bounce it off out the window. I want it back.
Aren't they horrible? Right. So what I want you to do is I want you to just get it back from out the window, bring it back to make it small again. Now I want you to expand it back again so you get a big white square or rectangle. I want it black and white. I want you to stick it back into colour. And I want you to bring it back into your whole field of vision as it was before. And all the sights, all the sounds, all the smells, all the feelings, all the joy, the laughter, whatever it was, the comfort, the calm, all of that back, please. Are we back?
We're back.
Yeah? Lovely. Sure?
Yes.
Jane, are you back?
I'm back.
I can see exactly how that would work if it was the car crash or something that was really troubling and intrusive. That could be and is that what you did with that mugging?
Yeah. Well, the CBT part made me face it where it happened. And I journaled my way through it, the thought record, but I was still getting the flashbacks. Just couldn't shift.
And that was the definitive answer to that. Isn't that so powerful? Isn't it, Jane?
Yeah, really powerful.
That's
when I knew an eclectic approach has got to be the way forward.
It's got to be. It's amazing. Thank you so much. We kind of sprung that on you. Sorry about that.
We've gone full circle though, understanding the eclectic approach now though. Which
it's great though, isn't it? Yeah. And I think it's really useful to know that skill is available. But also, I think for me, I wouldn't do that. I would probably, if that was the case of one of the kids, I would say, I'm going to reach out to Eilir, or somebody who actually, because you were very studious about how you counselled us through it. You didn't just describe, let's do this, and then you do that, and that happens. You were very conscious to encourage us to go and pick something positive as well for the sake of the process. And, I think that's a great idea. And it's definitely something. So where can we find you, Eilir, if people want to reach out to you? Is that your handle on LinkedIn or?
You can get me on Facebook. A Better Way Counselling Services on Facebook. I've got a website, obviously. Just type in A Better Way Counselling Service, and it's based on Anglesey, so you know that you've got the right one, not the one in Canada somewhere.
Okay.
The one in the UK.
I think
let's stay local.
I think your voice gives it away. The Welsh twang, right? Yeah. Not Canadian. That's brilliant. That's brilliant. Thank you so much for joining us today. That has flown by, and I'm sure there's so much more we could speak about. So maybe we'd love, if you're available, to come on again at some other point, and we can delve deeper into things. But thank you. It's been really enlightening. Really enlightening.
So much. Thank
you. And Liz,
so much.
all the best with your
and you too, Jane, and
this week
Eilir,
with your car crash. I hope you recover from that.
Look,
and
we're all fine. Everything's grand. My pride was hurt, and I had a bit of a flip out. But thank God we're all safe.
You're safe and secure. So until next time, everyone. Thanks very much for joining us.
Thanks
Take
very
care.
much, everyone. Bye-bye. Bye.